My fellow Americans, I have been hearing a lot about men in women's sports. Okay, let me go on to say that men in women's sports shouldn't be happening. That being said, trans women are not men. They aren't. So, if you do your research, and I encourage you to, trans women, or trans people in general, their brain chemistry and their thought processes align more closely to the gender that they identify with. It's a proven fact. And I encourage you to go do your research. That being said, that being stated as fact, trans women are not men. So how about we stop calling them that, calling us that, because we aren't. Trans women are women. That's fact. Especially after they've been on hormones for any length of time. Even if they weren't on hormones, they are still women. Their brain chemistry and thought processes, which make us who we are, align with that of cis women rather than men. And that's the same for a trans man. Their thought processes and their brain chemistry aligns more closely with cis men. So, let's continue on with more facts. So, for those of you who do not know how hormones work, which I'm assuming is based on the comments of men and women's sports is a lot of you, I'm going to give you a lesson down. Take some notes here. And, again, I encourage you, do your own research. Don't just take my word for it. Don't take anybody's word for it. Do your own research. Scientific studies, and medical studies both agree that when a trans woman starts taking hormones, in the first year, their muscle mass will decrease by 5% and will steadily decrease over the next 3 to 4 years, being replaced by a 30% increase in body fat, in fat mass in their bodies. So, at that point, transgender women are way more on par with cis women. Meaning that if they were to play in male sports, they would be completely and utterly dominated, never having a chance to win a title or win a trophy or win anything, because they would be completely and utterly dominated. Let's continue onward here. So, that's the facts I gave you were for a non-athletic trans woman, such as myself. Now, trans women who are in sports, they regularly have to work out and stay in shape, because you don't play sports unless you do. Now, that being said, one, they have to work harder because they're still taking those testosterone blockers and those hormones that are still making their muscle mass deteriorate. So they have to work harder to keep any muscle mass. So therefore, they're working harder to create the same amount of muscle as a cis woman. Secondly, and I'm speaking from my personal experience here, because I have a physically demanding job. Had the same job before I started transition. Work in the same field now. Before transition, my job wasn't that physically demanding on me. Now, to do the same job, I have to exert way more force. Because my muscle mass has significantly decreased. To keep up with the men at my job, I have to work harder. Does this sound familiar to any of you? You women, it definitely should. So, if we continue on this, and we're going to, I want you, let's do a thought-provoking scenario here. How about you all do your research? Don't listen to Trump. Don't listen to Musk. Don't listen to Bezos. Don't listen to any of them rich oligarchs that he has aligned himself with in this administration. The yes men that he's put in positions of power in this government. Listen to yourself. Do your own research and formulate your own opinions. At the end of all of that, you still feel it's not right or whatever you feel. How about this as an ultimate solution? We start trans women's sports. We start trans men's sports. That way, none of us are on any of your teams that you root for or cheer for or any of that. We have our own teams. If that would solve this problem, I'm all for it. Let's do it. Because that would solve this issue, and all of you know it. So let's do that. Instead of making trans people the enemy. Instead of getting trans people hurt. Because at the end of the day, we are all still human. We are all still people. Whether you see us as that or not, it's undebatable. We are still human.